Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you again for joining me for another live Q&A session here on my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some tips and tricks and techniques that I use every day in my own voiceover business. And I answer your questions in these live Q&A sessions and offer a little bit of community, which I really, really enjoy. If you're not new here, then you know every week we have a new poll. And this week, the poll is, if I can get my stuff situated here, can voice acting skills be taught? Because today we're going to be talking about voice actor basics, right? I get, as you can imagine, a lot of questions about how do I know I'm good enough? How do I know I can do this? What does it take to get this business, because this is a business, off the ground? Where do I start? What do I do? Right? I get a lot of these questions. But the main thing is, I think is what it comes down to, is can voice acting skills be taught, right? And in addition to that, but you can only ask really one question in a poll, right? Not only can the skills be taught, but also do you have the time, the ability to invest, and not only the equipment, but the training, the time to practice, right? Do you have a space that you can dedicate to creating a quiet, acoustically treated space? As I say that, my air conditioner turns on. Sorry for the noise, but it's necessary. It's hot. So let's see what everybody else has to say. Can voice acting skills be taught? It looks like 93% of you said yes, and only 7% of you said no, and that was 29 votes. And I have to agree with you. I think they can, but the caveat comes down to you. Are you willing? Are you able to take direction? Are you willing to take any kind of feedback, not as criticism, but as a way to improve and, help you develop something that you could call voice acting, right? Because as you've heard me say, I've always said forever that voice actors represent the world, right? We represent all of the voices of the world, right? But again, it comes down to you. Can you do what it takes to become a voice actor? And of course, in that, as I mentioned before already, comes down to training, the equipment, your space, and you and your ability to learn. And I think a lot of that has to do with what we talked about last week in the 4 pillars of success is your why. Why do you want to do this? Because again, if you're in this just to thinking that you're just going to make a quick buck, you're probably not going to get very far. There has to be passion. There has to be a very strong why as to why to do this. Is it a creative outlet for you? Is it just a fun hobby on the side? I mean, those are all okay, but you still have to have the passion to learn and grow and create this business. Because don't get me wrong, this is a business, right? And you have to treat it as such. So I agree with you guys. I think anybody can, but it's down to you and your willingness to learn and grow and train and practice and all the things that come with it. And to build, the websites, the profiles, the demos, right? There's a lot to it. And this isn't something that you can expect to make money day one. I think I mentioned that last week as well. It takes time. It takes time to build and to grow and to learn, right? And we'll cover a few more things, I'm sure, as we go, as far as equipment and kinds of training and those sorts of things. I see a lot of great questions in the comments, so let's get on over to the comments and get rid of that. And let's go to the comments. Let's see who's here. Who's first in today? Michael V. Haven't seen you in a while. How you doing, buddy? Good morning, all. Good morning, Michael. It's good to see you. Matthew Russell. For a beginner, is it enough to simply have a profile on ACX or Fiverr before your own website? That's a great question. I'm of the idea that a website sooner than later is better because it is a digital home base for you. But what you need to consider before you even create your website is your branding, right? Like, for example, me. Not only am I Angela, but I am VoiceOverAngela, right? And I try to use VoiceOverAngela everywhere. It's my moniker. It's kind of what I go by, right? It's part of my business name. So that is how I brand myself, right? You have to think of a logo. You have to think of a color palette for your business, right? Those same colors are going to be in your logo and probably all over your website, right? But those are the things that you're going to need to consider before you start a website. And then another question I see regarding websites is, how do I create one? It seems very daunting. I'm not very good at WordPress, or there are a ton of website hosts out there. For example, there's Wix, there's GoDaddy, there's a handful of them. There's another one that just came in, said hi, and left. I'm sure it'll come back to me. But I use Wix, and Wix is very simple. And you could start a website for free. It'll say, whatever your website is, .com, .wix, or whatever it is, and you'll have some Wix branding on it. But you could have a web page for free, right? You'll have to pay extra to have all that stuff removed, but you can have a free website. And really all you need on it is perhaps your name, your logo, a little bit about you, a demo. That is something else to consider before starting a website, is have some way for them to hear what you sound like, right? So your logo, a picture of you, preferably, that eye contact, right? And a little bit about you, a contact form, some way to contact you, either listing your email address or having a actual contact form that they can fill out and send to you. And then, of course, your demo, right? Some way to listen to you. And in addition to that, another question I get regarding the website is, what do I put on there, right? I don't have any experience. What do I use? Use your life experience. Describe your voice. Describe the equipment that you have, right? A little bit about you. Are you a dog owner? Do you like to go to the beach? I mean, just talk a little bit about you. It doesn't have to necessarily be all about voiceover, right? You are a person. So share your experiences, whatever they are, on your website. So there are some people that will tell you to not have a website right in the beginning, but I think you should. I think you should, because as soon as you're feeling like you're ready to start venturing out beyond ACX, Fiverr, and some of the freelance marketplaces, and you start marketing yourself on social media, that website's going to come in handy. It's going to be a place where you're directing all of that social media traffic, right? So I say have a website, but think about your branding and all of that stuff first. Not that you can't add it later, and develop your website as you go, but I think having a good solid idea of what domain name to have and what your business name is going to be, those are things that I would definitely consider first. Go ahead and make my day. Hi. Great username. I hope that made your day. Brittany Beck. Probably not, but Good morning. It's been a while, but I'm finally catching alive. Well, I'm glad you're here, Brittany. Glad you're here. Dylan Holt. Hello, all. Back to the broom closet, hiding from 9-to-5 responsibilities for the duration of this live stream. Well, that's awesome. I can totally relate to that. I did the same thing when I was catching lives. I would just be out and about listening. Not easily found, I should say. Phil. Hey, Phil. How you doing? Hey, everyone. Hey, Angela. Annie Waybright. As someone who was reading a mile a minute and couldn't, oh no, did you get cut off? Oh, here you are. Figure out why my reading didn't sound natural. I could say there are some skills that need to be learned for VO. I agree with you. I have met, as you can imagine, as someone who offers my perspectives to people and mentors, so to speak. I don't consider myself a coach, but I like to share experiences and help as much as I can where I can. But anyway, with all of the people that I've talked to, there are quite a few of them that have this natural ability to tell a story, not read the words in the copy. You don't want to ever just read the words. You want to tell the story, right? And they have this natural ability to do that, and not sound like they're reading. And I'm like, man, you're going to be a great, long form narrator. But some people may have that natural ability, but like Annie was saying, maybe a little bit too fast. And I could totally relate to that too, because I naturally read fast. I'm a huge book nerd. I read lots of books and I read them fast. So at the same time, I tend to narrate fast, right? So I have to consciously tell myself, I need to slow down and just, allow myself to be immersed in this book. Tell it at a nice natural pace. Pause where I need to pause, right? To slow down. And that's hard. That's hard to do unless someone points that out, right? That comes with the training and maybe working with somebody one-on-one to help improve some of those skills or point out things that you're just inherently doing that you didn't know that you were doing, to Annie's point. Yeah, totally relate to that because I do the same. Oh, hang on a second. We got a super chat. Hold on, Terry. I'll come back to you. I promise. Isabel. Thank you, Isabel. That's very sweet of you. Finally get to be live with other premium members and OFC with Miss Angela. Greetings from Dublin. Question. Mic presets. I remember you mentioned you had someone that did one for you. My DAW is Audacity. Thanks. I did. I had Tim Tippett. I hired Tim Tippett to, what this does is that when you contact a sound engineer, and Tim Tippett is one of few, there's Uncle Roy Yokelson. If you're in my Facebook group, he's a member in our group. There's also Lenny B, right? There's a handful of sound engineers or audio engineers that will help you improve the sound of your space. They'll do like a booth audit for you. So they'll listen to the sound of your space, you send them a raw file, and then they will either work with you one-on-one online via Zoom and help to build presets for you, or suggest ways to position your mic, suggest things that you can do to improve the sound in your booth, and then also what effects to use and what effects not to use. So getting to that point where you're maybe just pulling your hair out because you're trying all of these things on your own, but you just don't feel like you've quite got the sound down, reach out to an audio engineer. And it's, for me anyway, it was definitely worth the investment to do that because now I feel that my sound is fabulous. And Tim not only helped me with incorporating a few shortcuts in my audition, but he also helped me build a parametric equalizer that helped me reduce a little bit of sibilance. He helped me with my mic positioning, so there's a lot there that they can help you with. So I always recommend reaching out to an audio engineer if you feel that you're at that point where you're just frustrated with trying things on your own. But to answer your question, that was Tim Tippett. He's online as the VO Tech Guru. That's where you can find him. And he's fabulous. He's a huge teddy bear. I love him. Sorry, Terry. I'm trying to find where you were here. Okay, here you are. Terry Stafford is here. Speaking of platinum members. Starting late editing a manuscript to be here. I'll get to it eventually. Good morning. Well, thank you for putting your manuscript on pause and spending a little bit of time with us here this morning. I appreciate that. Cheers. It's time for that Java break. Hold on. Much needed. Rustic Hillbilly is here. There we go. Rustic Hillbilly is here. Good morning, all. Good morning, Rustic Hillbilly. Good to see you. That was the rest of Annie's comment. Let's go down to one more, if it'll let me. There we go. JCC AOL. Hey, Angela. I heard you guys got a little break from the heat. Keep cool either way. We did. We've been teased with storms the last few days and only seen just little spittles of rain, but it was enough to cool things down a little bit. It's still warm. It's still, triple digits, but we started late. The summer came late, right? May and June were very nice, but July was just a huge kick in the pants. Super hot July, record-breaking July. I'm sure it was for a lot of people, actually. Writer Dude says, good morning. Good morning, Writer Dude. Glad to see you. Jim Cecil. Hey, Jim. Good morning, Angela and crew. I'm about to find out if you can teach me. Well, I'd like to certainly try. Because you don't know. Can't win if you don't play, right? As they say. Mary HPVO. Hi, Mary. Good morning and very happy Tuesday. Absolutely. Very happy Tuesday. Every day of the week is a happy that day of the week, right? It's all about your mindset. Facebook user, this is Colette Gray. Good morning, Colette. Yes. Was that the answer to the question? To the poll? If voice acting skills can be taught? Actually, while we're on the topic, let's go back and check the poll really quick. So I'm making a note, where are we leaving off? So again, the poll was, can voice acting skills be taught? And if you're just joining, I'm asking this question because I think that they can, but it comes down to your ability to be taught, right? How well you can take direction, how well you are willing to invest the time and the energy and the money to seek out training, coaching, to work with a group, workshops, that sort of thing, to improve not only your performance, but maybe your audio quality as well. 45 votes so far. 96% of you, vast majority of you said yes. And I totally agree. I agree. Okay, let's go back to so many buttons. So many buttons. All right. And then we left off at Eric. Hi, Eric. Good to see you, Eric. Good morning. It can be taught, but there's a big difference between reading a book and telling a story. Exactly. Plus, reading with the eyes is different from storytelling with the voice. And this is very true also, because the written word is much different than the spoken word, right? As you're becoming an audiobook narrator or long form narrator or any kind of voice actor and you're reading, you mostly find this in long form, but the way things are written in terms of, mostly we're talking about punctuation in this respect, where a comma is put in the copy that you're reading may not necessarily be the best place for that pause while you're speaking, right? That might be better suited somewhere else in the sentence. So that is what Eric is referring to. So as you're reading copy, if there's a comma and it feels like, if it's intended to be a pause there, but it doesn't sound quite right as you're saying it with a comma there, then don't put the comma there. Don't put the pause there. Put it somewhere else, right? Read it once. And if it doesn't sound right, then read it again in the way that you feel it sounds best, right? So the spoken word and the written word are going to come out differently, for sure. I hope that made sense. Terry says, glad to finally be here. Well, we're glad you're here too, Terry. Does nonfiction narration require voice acting skills? I think it does. I think it does. Probably not as much as fiction, of course, but there's still skill involved in modulating your voice, changing the pitch and tone, keeping the narration engaging, right? Because you don't want to speak all the way, monotone all the way through, because that's just completely boring and you're going to get bad reviews and that author might not ever hire you again. You have to hear your smile. You have to sound like you are the author. You are the one sharing this knowledge and this information of whatever it is, right? You have to keep it engaging. So there is some skill in that respect, I think. Absolutely. Eric Priesman says, and you can't be self-conscious about emoting and emphasizing. Right. And to add on to that, as we always say in our platinum group, give it 50% more emotion than you normally would. Because as you're narrating or you're reading something, right? You're recording yourself. You become accustomed to the way that you perceive things and the way that you emote. But someone who's never heard you before might not equate your emotion with that actual emotion. So you might have to give it 50% more of that emotion to be sure that that comes through. Because if you're maybe a person like myself who's a little bit cynical and maybe a little, very dry humor, I don't emote as much as I should, perhaps, in everyday speech. So you might have to give it 50% more so it comes across in the way that you want it to. Right? So you can't go, oh, this is so embarrassing. I can't. It's part of the voice acting. It's part of the business, right? Great point, Eric. Mary HP says, I think it's important to get some training for VO, not for your voice or your natural storytelling, but how to enhance what you have, how to breathe, how to edit. Very good points. Yes, I think training is essential any way you look at it, right? And that is true for any business or any new skill that you're trying to learn, right? Is to get training from someone who knows how to do it, right? I was reading Troy, if you're in my Facebook group, Troy Holden, he has a PDF that's like the voice actor basics. I forget what he called it. Getting into voiceover, I think is what it was. And what was he saying? He was saying you wouldn't hire a dentist who didn't have any training, right? That goes for anything. So getting training is essential for not only honing what your natural abilities already are, but also in the audio quality aspect, right? Helping to dial in your space, helping to, again, mic positioning, maybe what effects you're using that you shouldn't be using or that you're using too much of or not enough of, right? Training, whether it be from a coach or a mentor or joining groups, right? Like workshop groups or Facebook groups that have like live meetings, or like my platinum group where we meet together every Thursday and we read for each other and we play demos for each other. And in that we can talk about ways to improve or, what to do to perhaps get rid of that echo in the background, of your demo or whatever it is. So all of that training is essential. And then the practicing and the keeping up with it and the audition. There's a lot to it, right? I feel like I'm going off on another tangent. It's like squirrel. Sorry about that, guys. Chrissy's here. Hey, Chrissy. Good afternoon. It's still morning for me, but good afternoon to you. MG Stevens. Good morning, MG. Good morning, Angela and everyone. Yes, taught and learned. I'm about a year into learning VA and full time for about 4 months. And for me, there is always something to learn. I can always grow. And the same could be said for someone who's been doing this for 5 years, like myself. I still continue to learn and grow every day. And I'm sure the same could be said for someone who's been doing this for 10 years, 15 years, right? You're always continuously learning, growing, learning new trends, learning new lingo, right? There's new terms being used for new types of uses for voiceover. It's constantly changing. So staying on top of these things, constantly learning, continuously learning and growing is important, I think, for everybody. Good point, MG. Thank you for bringing that up. Nightly Virtue. Frog. Woot. Super excited to catch this live. You've helped me so much already. Why'd you bring the frog with you, Nightly Virtue? Good gosh. I'm glad. I'm glad that I helped. Um, if you know or don't know, I have other playlists with lots of videos on lots of different information. If you're needing um, specific questions answered, right? I do these live Q&As more for the community, I think, and the ability to interact and share, not only with you guys, but with you guys sharing with everybody else here. I think that is something that we all need, right? But I'm glad that you're here, Nightly Virtue, and you can take the frog with you. And I'm glad that I've helped already. I'm so glad to hear that. It's very validating and humbling. So thank you for that. Phil says, let me just close this security notification here. Phil says, VO skills, most can. It's all about will, or it's about will. No matter how hard things are, you got to make the effort. Not enough time? Use what little time you have. Even sometimes you feel like you can't do this. That is very true. And there will be hard times. You're building a business. It's not always going to be unicorns and rainbows. There's going to be tough times. There's going to be fabulous, mind-blowing times, but there's also going to be hard times. So that comes down to your why, right? How strong is your why to do this in the first place? And the time, I understand that too. I was employed full-time when I started to do this. I just used the time that I did have until I was losing money in my voiceover business by being employed. And that's what I jumped ship. But use the time that you do have, Every little step forward is still a step forward. There's no time limit to get this done. There's no right way to get this done. It's kind of whatever you can invest and you can make it, right? But the training is something that I would definitely not skip on, for sure. Will. Good one. Phil says mostly. Barb Cam says, hello, Angela. Hope all is well. Yes, Barb. Doing good. Starting to get warm in here again. I'm going to have to check and see if my AC is going to kick back on. Doing good so far. Facebook user, this is Colette. She says, the word skill suggests something that's been practiced, developed. So theoretically, any skill can be developed to one degree or another. Exactly. And I mean, not to pick apart the actual wording of the question, but because I'm only limited to so many characters in a question, but can voice actors be taught? Can the act of voice acting be taught? However you want to word it. But yes, I think it can. I think you can be developed. But again, it comes down to you and your ability to be taught, right? I am Paximus. How you doing, buddy? Where you been? Hey, Angela, how are you? Glad to be here with you and all. I'm at work, but listening in today. Well, I'm glad you're here. I haven't seen anything come across my For You page on TikTok. Are you still doing your videos? I'm looking for you, Paximus. Ron Mircab. I need to put my glasses on. Is that right? Mircab? Hello, Angela. I guess it's necessary to have a spare microphone. There's nothing wrong with having a spare microphone. I have a couple. Not by choice, but I'm at the point where I need to have backups because you never know when something's just going to right? So having backup equipment is not a bad thing. So what I did is as I was while I was improving or replacing some of my equipment, I would keep the old equipment because it wasn't broken. I was just updating, right? I would keep the old equipment just in case something happens, right? So I have a backup. The microphones, I'm I'm testing particular microphones to see if they can serve as backups or even a replacement, but so far, I'm so in love with my 416. I don't know if I'll ever switch it out, but I do have a Lewitt 440, which I have a video on. And then I also have a CAD E100SX, which I tested, but it tends to make me a little, it's so crisp and clear that I've been told that it highlights my mouth noise even more effectively, which makes me a little self-conscious. But what it comes down to is that I'm kind of in love with the 416. I don't know if I'm gonna replace it until it breaks, and even if it breaks, I'm just probably gonna get another 416, to be honest. But having backups is not a bad thing. And then Ron continues, I have a broken mic now and can't do anything. Now I know that I should really be keeping a spare mic. And that is exactly why when I trade up or purchase new equipment, I keep the old one just in case. Janeri's here. Hey, Janeri. Hi, Angela. I got an offer in ACX for $50 per finished hour. He asked for my email, so I gave him. How would I know if he's legit? I've been scammed multiple times in ACX. What I would do is to reach out directly to this author. Most authors have websites of their own. I would go to that author's website and send them a message and say, hey, I've just been offered a audiobook contract by you on ACX. Was this you? Do your own research. You know, you don't have to be stuck waiting on the platform to help you or, guessing. Step outside of the platform cage and go out and contact this author and see if it's legit. He might say, no, that's not me. Thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. So now we can put the kibosh on it, right? We can stop this from happening. And by the way, thank you for reaching out to me because I was thinking about having an audiobook made. What's your rate? I've had that happen before. Not to me personally, but I've heard of someone else who did just that. Reached out to somebody off of ACX just to see if that was in fact them. It wasn't. And then they thanked them. That way they could, address the situation on ACX. And then, hey, by the way, I was thinking about having an audiobook done, right? So reach out to the author on their website and say, hey, is this you? Eternal optimist. I like that. How important is it to set up an LLC incorporation before starting on ACX or Fiverr? It's not. You can freelance as a sole proprietor or as a freelancer up until I think whatever the dollar amount is before you need to start not only taxes but need to have an LLC. I would, whatever state you're in, I would definitely, or country, I would definitely get with an attorney, a tax attorney or attorney and business attorney, and ask them what the limits or what the what is wrong with my brain today? What is necessary for you to know in your particular state or country? But I'm sorry, I'm seeing some of the other the other comments. I didn't have an LLC until about a year in, maybe just shy of a year in. So it's not something that you have to have right at the start, but you'll definitely want to at some point, right? Coley Cole is here. Hi, how you doing? Yes, you pointed out that I need to slow down. Thanks for that. Yeah, and that's common for a lot of us, because we just go way too fast. Or in the editing process, we cut out way too many pauses because we're listening as we're going. And then if you listen back to the whole thing, you'll just notice that it just goes really, really fast because there's no pauses because you cut them all out. Right? So, I mean, it's something that you sort of learn as you go, but you might not know that you're doing it until somebody points it out, right? Facebook user. This is VoiceOver Steve. VoiceOver Steve, you're making me giggle. Angie. When will those dark clouds all disappear? We need the dark clouds. We need the dark clouds to Drop the heat in this state. Eternal Optimist says, oh, and related to what you're saying now, is there a word per minute I should shoot for in narration? The average narration for a minute is 150 words, like just regular old conversational, you know, it's 150 words per minute is basically what comprises a minute. Is that what you're asking? Facebook user, this is VoiceOver Steve. Now I can say good morning. Good morning. Thank you for the for the serenade. I appreciate that. EV8642 says, good morning, all. Speaking of learning things, I heard you mention a webinar you did with Anthony Pica back in March about audiobook narration. Is that available to purchase anywhere? That's a good question. I'm pretty sure it was if you purchased it and couldn't attend that you could see the replay. I'm not sure. You would have to go to Anthony's site, aviosjourney.com, and see if there's a way to, he might have it in an archive. I'm sure he does somewhere, but you might have to reach out to him to see if it's available for purchase somewhere. Or maybe we should have our own audiobook webinar, perhaps. We shall see. But that's what I would do. Isabel says, sorry, platinum members, not premium. It's okay. I know what you meant. Now I remember I forgot to take my afternoon coffee, but it's a bit late now. It's never too late for coffee. Never. I have coffee in my veins. Barb Cam says, what is a general cost for an audio engineer's consult? It depends on the audio engineer. What I mean is that some of them will offer you just specific things, like I will make a preset for you, I will make an equalizer for you, I'll give you some shortcuts. Some of them offer all of that in addition to an entire course, like Tim Tippett's does. Some of them will offer specific things at a la carte prices. It just depends on what you're looking for, but be prepared to invest some money. These are professionals who know what they're doing. They're tried and true. So you're investing in yourself, your future, and your business by reaching out to one of these people. So again, those names were Lenny B., who's well-known in this industry, Uncle Roy Yolkelson. If you're in my Facebook group, he's also a member of my Facebook group. Reach out to him. And Tim Tippett is who I used. He goes by votechguru.com, I believe. Those are the ones that that are definitely top of mind that I would reach out to. All voice, no breaks. I love that. Great question, Barb. And I wish I had a better answer. I don't know the costs off the top of my head, but hundreds of dollars, more or less. Some of them will actually give maybe even like an introductory free, initial call. They're going to vary depending on. So I would go to each of their websites, search them out and go to their websites and see what they have to offer. That way you'll have an exact amount, because I'm not sure off the top of my head. And I don't want to misquote anything. Nightly Virtue. I've been trying to figure out what my voice style is, but it's hard for me to objectively listen to myself. Usually a little hard on myself. Any tips would be appreciated. And that is another very common thing in the beginning, because you're so accustomed to the way that you speak, and it's hard to describe what you sound like, to yourself. Another reason to join groups where you can interact with other people, preferably live, so they can hear you. You can play demos for them, and they can give you live feedback on that. And then they in turn can help give you some adjectives, right? Some ways to describe frog, ways to describe your voice to other people. And being hard on yourself is also completely normal. My voice, completely cringy to me. It still does. Some things I still can't listen to, things that I've done in the beginning. I just can't. But it does get easier. You do get a little bit more accustomed to the sound of your own voice outside of your own head, right? Because you first hear yourself recorded not in your own head as you're speaking, you sound a little bit differently and you just go, ugh, that's what I sound like? Why in the heck would anybody want to pay for that? But they do. Trust me. So for you, join groups. Join groups and get live feedback. Ask for advice on how to describe your voice and what improvements you could be making. Community will help you tremendously. Trisha's here. Good morning, Trisha. How you doing, darling? Good morning. Sunny's here. Good morning, Sunny. Good morning, Angela. I can never hear your AC turning on and off. Is it just me listening on headphones too? Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing because I don't know if it's the settings. It must be like a StreamYard thing because I know they have like noise reduction suppression, as part of their settings. Because I definitely don't have any on now. But if they're adding something that helps, that's fabulous because I can hear it. I'm just glad you guys can't. That's fine. But thank you for that. It makes me feel a whole lot better. Nightly Virtue says, I've thought about community chats forums, but I'm curious if you have any good recommendations. My website would be a good place to start. The VO Workshop, not my website, my Facebook group. I have a Facebook group called the VO Workshop. There's also, there's quite a few. There's the VO Life, a VO's Journey. There's, oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank. If you simply search Facebook groups for voiceover groups, oh gosh, I'm seeing them like scrolling through my groups in my head, but I'll have to put some down on paper, I think, and that way I'm reminded of what they are. But mine is probably a good place to start, the VO Workshop. Glawin is here. Hey, Glawin, how you doing? Good afternoon, Angela and chat. Hope you're having a great day and your coffee is strong. It's not as strong as I'd like, but hey, get out of here, Nat. Coffee is not strong enough, I think. Woke up a little bit earlier than normal trying to get ready for school starting in a couple days. So I don't think I was fully functional enough to make my coffee. So I think it needs to be stronger. Matthew Russell's here. Hello, Matthew. Are there any free website domains for VO actors, YouTubers? As I mentioned before, Wix, and there are a handful of others, website domain hosts that have free options for your website. You'll have to deal with their branding on the website, but if you don't care, then that's fine. I mean, you can always, pay for a premium address or a premium a premium hosting package, as you start to have some income coming in, right? You could do that. Wix I did for a while. I had a free page for a while, and then I purchased the premium to remove all of their branding off of it. If there are any others that you guys can think of, please put them in the comments. Because as I said, my coffee's not strong enough and brain's not firing. Good afternoon from Dracula. I know it's not Dracula. I know it's not, but it's an ongoing joke. It's Dracula, right? Did I say it right this time? Dracula? But the very first time I saw it, I thought it was Dracula, so we're going with it. Isabel says, speaking of taking direction, I want to think I can, but I'm doing an animation workshop on Saturdays, and oh boy, not only way outside my comfort zone, but I feel like not getting it straight away. And that's okay. And that's okay because you're learning something new. You're not going to just jump right in and be the best at it. It's going to take time. So give yourself some grace. You're learning something new. I mean, could you do algebra without knowing the basics of how to do it? No. Give yourself some grace, have some patience, and just keep practicing. You'll get there. But that's cool. I would also like to do animation workshops. That would be fun. MG Steven says, hope I'm better tomorrow than today. You could be better today instead of tomorrow. Why put off till tomorrow what you can do today? Right? That's right. Writer Dude says a friend of mine once said that written English and spoken English are two different languages. Yes, that's basically what I was saying. Yes. So you might have to try some sentences several different ways to get them to work. And yes, and that is one of the beauties of doing this is that you're in a padded room by yourself with your recording software and your mic. So if it takes a few different takes to get it to feel right, then do it and then submit the take that you feel is the best to get them to sound right. Yes, you're absolutely right. Absolutely. Michael V says voice acting is painting a picture with words as the paint and your voice as the brush. I love that. That is exactly what you're doing. Beautiful. And not everybody can put a brush to paper and have it look like something that resembles whatever it is that you're trying to paint. You might need a little bit of training, a little bit of practice, right? To get that image to appear as you want it. It's the same with voice acting. Love that. Matthew Russell says, is a VO coach going to assist you in improving your voice to its best benefit? Or basically the marketing and technical assistance? There are coaches that can do all of that. If you're looking for a coach that has the ability to do all of that, they're out there. If you're looking for a coach that will work with you on a specific type of voiceover or niche, like if you're looking for solely animation, or if you're looking solely for long form e-learning, if you're looking solely for audiobook, there are specific coaches that are really good at that particular kind of voiceover and that are offering coaching services and that could, walk you through the best way to go about them. Same thing with the technical aspects or the editing or reaching out to an audio engineer to help with a booth audit. So depending on what you need or what you feel you need, then you can find a coach that can do pretty much any and all of that. Right? Yay. Tangents. Don't encourage the tangent. Don't encourage the tangent. EV8642 says, I think we should start calling it an Angela Knowledge Blitz instead of a... Gosh, no, I think let's stick with tangents because that's what it feels like to me. Is like I'm just blah, 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 just rambling off nonsense. But I'm glad that you're finding nuggets in that because I feel like I'm just verbally vomiting on you. There's always perfectly good, needed, relevant information in there. Okay, well, I feel a little bit better about it now. But sticking with tangents. Brittany Beck says, I'm building up my social media profile, but most of my samples are from past auditions. I know you can use those on your website or ACX, but do you think it's okay to use them on social media as well? Brittany, I did. And then once I started to get some paid work and with the client's permission, I used bits of those on my demos or refreshed my demos, which you're going to do anyway, right? But if you're self-conscious about using somebody's auditions for your demo work, you could always reach out to them and ask them. There are some sites, is it voices.com or voice123? There's one of them that specifically says that any audition that you submit on that site can be used for demo purposes as well, or a sample, but only on that site. So, let's just say, if you're really self-conscious or really concerned about using somebody else's audition or words as a sample for your voiceover, make your own scripts. If you're in my platinum group, I have scripts you guys can use for just that reason. Because in the beginning, when you don't have samples or demos and you're like, well, I need copy. I need something to read to make a sample or a demo. Either write your own, use ChatGPT if you want to help with the wording. Or if you're a platinum member, use the scripts that I have available to you that are written for exactly that purpose. Right? But if you're really concerned about doing that, then write your own. Totally can. SA says, hi, Angela. God, get out of here, Nat. I love how expressive you are, and even in reading the comments. Haha, from a fellow Angela, middle name. Well, that's cool. A fellow Angela. Nice to meet you, fellow Angela. How expressive I am. Oh, I always consider myself very non-expressive, so I'm glad to hear that. Writer Dude says, what effects not to use is very important. Straying a bit from voiceover, a singer I followed used a bit of an auto tune in her first label produced album. It was a distraction, not an enhancement. And I'm glad you brought that up, Writer Dude, because in the beginning, as you're doing all the soaking in of all the YouTube information, right? There's a ton of voice actors and audio engineers, and there's a lot of information available on YouTube. So soak it all in. But during that process, you'll start to hear mouth noise is bad, noise is bad. Use this plugin to reduce the noise. Use this, do this, not that. You'll hear all of this stuff. So then you start to think, oh God, I need this, I need this, I need this. I need noise suppression. I need a mouth declick. I need a deplosive. I need these things because they're saying that I need it, but only use the effects that you actually need. You may not need a deplosive plugin. You might not need noise suppression. You might not need some of these effects that you're hearing, because if you're adding an effect that takes away something that you don't need, it's going to take away a little bit of that natural depth or warmth or something in your voice that makes it sound like a voice, and you'll end up just destroying your audio quality by using effects that you don't need. Another reason to reach out for help and get feedback on your demos and auditions and samples and such, not only from other people who may have a developed ear, but audio engineers, right? They can help you kind of dial in everything for you. But you're right. Don't use what you don't need. I am Maximus. Every time. I do that every time. That's so sweet of you to say that. I plan on doing a new string of videos on TikTok in the month of August. Thank you so much for your support, Angela. Means a great deal to me and stuff. I love your videos. I love it when you wear like the Rocket Man helmet. It's awesome. Of course. Matthew Russell says, hi, Angela. Do you use a different mic for your YouTube videos? If not, what type and name brand would you recommend for making videos? I use the 416 for everything. This mic that you see here, the Sennheiser 416, I use it for everything. I use it for YouTube videos. I use it for Zoom. I use it for my everyday work and audiobooks. Everything this mic is used for. But there are a handful of mics that I have personally tried that I recommend, depending on your budget and your space, of course, because not any kind of mic is going to do. What's more important than the mic is your recording space, of course, making sure that you have a sound treated recording space. But as I mentioned before, the Lewitt 440 Pure is a good one. And then my newest edition, the CAD E100 SX, is very good at reducing your noise floor if you have a noisy room. It's great for that. The 416 has always been my preference, but it's a little bit on the pricey side. If you want a mic that is similar to this shotgun mic, the Synco D2 is a pretty much a clone to the 416, but at a fraction of the cost. So depending on what else you're doing, because even, I don't want to get off on another tangent, but a good place to start would go to Booth Junkie's YouTube channel, Mike Delgadio. He's called Booth Junkie here on YouTube. And he's got a lot of great techie kind of information. He does a lot of mic shootouts, right? Where you can hear the difference between two mics that he's using to see which one sounds better. I've used those so many times in considering a new mic. So that's probably where I'd start if you're looking for a new mic. That way you can hear the difference between the two. Caesar's here. Hey, Caesar, or Squeezer. Can I keep calling you Squeezer? Sorry, late to the party. What did I miss? Well, it looks like your team replay today, Caesar. Pamela says, press that like button. I mean, you can't not. Pamela said to do it. I mean, don't make Pamela mad. Let me tell you. You better hit that like button because Pam's going to come after you. Thank you, Pamela. I appreciate you. Chidu Onabu? Shaidu Onabu? Am I saying that right? Hi, VoiceOverAngela. Hello. I am a Nigerian VO artist and a huge fan. Just joined in. Well, I'm glad to have you. Welcome and thank you. I appreciate you. That's sweet. Michael V says, I would be on board with the webinar. Okay. Maybe we should consider something that maybe is not just audiobooks. Would you guys be interested in something that was just a specific type or something that was kind of all encompassing? What would you guys prefer? What would work better? BB Homebody says, good morning from sunny Washington State. I agree. It's never too late for coffee. Yes. Dylan says it's never too late for coffee. That's why I'm here every week. You just get me. Well, my people, my tribe, let us toast with our coffee mugs. Very nice. Glowin says to Dylan, absolutely right. First pot is finished. It's 1:39 p.m. here. Second pot is brewing. I've got some errands to run after this. Ooh, we got to wrap up soon. And I'm definitely stopping at Dutch Brothers on the way back. Tim Gleason says, I never hear it either. Oh, the AC? Really? You guys don't hear it? Hang on. Now I have to make sure that it's on because it's one of those like self-learning thermostats. So if I don't walk past it, it's going to think I'm gone and it turns it way down and it should kick on in a minute and we'll see if you guys can hear it. I won't say anything about it. Mason Reconstruction says, you can practice your voice actor skills separately from recording. Read a book to a group of kids or adults as a storyteller. Keep them interested in your story. That is a very good point. And another way to kind of piggyback on that, if you're wanting to see if you can, in fact, narrate audiobooks, grab a book off your shelf. You don't need recording equipment to do this. Grab a book off your shelf, your own personal library. Sit on your couch or a chair, a comfy chair, and read it out loud for at least 5-6 hours and see if that is something that you can sustain. That's a good test. Try at least maybe an hour or two to start and then work your way up. And if you can do that, then great. Then, start looking into microphones and DAWs and all the other fun stuff. But that is a great test to see if you can stay with it. Oh, hang on. I just got rid of my live stream. Okay, this is Facebook user. Oh, no, it's not there. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Facebook user. I can't see that comment or who you are, but it looks like other Facebook groups, VO Pros, VO Community, VOpreneur. Yep, that VOpreneur is Mark Scott, I believe. Marcus L. Harvey says, hello there, Angela. How do you handle commercial broadcast rights when doing jobs outside of Fiverr? I handle them the same way that I do within Fiverr. I'm always telling people to keep your pricing consistent. Decide on what prices you want to offer, and then stick with those same prices from platform to platform to platform, even in your own business. Because the last thing you want to happen to you, the last thing you want is to have a client find you, let's just say on Fiverr, but they don't want to work within Fiverr. They want to keep that 20% fee, right? And then they Google you and then they find your website and then they ask you for a price on a script. They already know what it is on Fiverr. And then you give them a much higher price on your website. You're probably going to lose that customer, right? So my pricing is the same from place to place to place for consistency and transparency to build trust with your clients. So that is what I do. Janeri says, I attended that, but it was only available for a few days. Oh, the Anthony's webinar that I guested on. Yeah, I was afraid of that. But that makes sense, though. Joya says, can you do a live about the importance of good monitor headphones and the difference between monitors and standard headphones? This is one thing people need to invest in my honest opinion. I agree with you because you can't just start with basic headphones, right? Well, I guess you could, but if you really want to do this, I would definitely invest in a good pair of studio headphones like mine. These are the Bear Dynamic, the DT 700 Pro X is what these are. These are, I mean, any kind of good studio headphones are going to be a couple $100s. I have a few, I mean, everything that I've mentioned is pretty much on my website too. There's a VO gear tab on my website where you can go and look at things I recommend equipment wise. But a good pair of studio headphones is going to help you to hear everything in your recording, things that you might not hear otherwise, right? Things that you might need to address in your recordings. And then you also have monitors in your studio, meaning like external speakers, good external speakers. Because when you're recording voiceover or audiobook narration, your listeners are going to listen back to your recording on different devices. Some are going to use headbuds, maybe if it's an audiobook, right? Headbuds, earbuds. And maybe if it's an audiobook, right? They're going to be listening on their earphones while they're working out or doing chores or whatever. Some are going to listen in their car. Some are going to be listening if you're doing radio spots or TV spots. They'll be listening on their TV. So you want to have a couple of different types of speakers, whether they be monitors. I have a pair of JBLs on my desk that I can listen to as external speakers, and then also the studio headphones to listen closely in my ears, right? I have both so I can hear the speakers, the playback either way. But great point, Joya. Great point. Kim Swingler, I need to put my glasses on. I hope I said that right. Swingler did my first audiobook audition last night in my new home studio. Good for you. Now go do another one. Don't wait for feedback. Don't wait for any kind of response on that audition. Just keep going. Send in a few more. Keep going. Don't wait. Keep going. BB Homebody says, as a perfectionist, I always do way too many takes and usually should have used the first or second one. That's usually how it goes for me too. You do the first or second one, and then you just keep going because you're like, no, I can do it. No, I can do it better. And then, yeah, usually the first one is the best one for me anyway. Facts. Ryder Dude says, tangents are fun and can be very irritating. Sergeant Bill says, thank you for the help, Angela. Do you use GVAA for your rates? I have looked at them. I have considered them. There's a couple of different places where you could use GVAA rates. GVAA is more for, in my humble opinion, is more for like veteran union type of work, right? If you're looking for something that's a little bit more, I don't know, I hate to use the term beginner friendly, but a VO's journey, my friend Anthony has got a rate guide on his website that's a good starting point, and it's broken down by beginner, intermediate, expert. But no, I do not. I have made my own rates that I am comfortable with, and then over the years have increased them. My audiobook rate is at GVAA standard with the audiobook standard rate, but everything else is just slightly below. So you can create the rates that you're comfortable with. Joya says, they're not tangents, just important mini stories. Mini stories for sure. Important, that's debatable. Mike Lindsay says, hi, Angela. Love your work and help vids. Got kind of a crazy question. Uh-oh. When auditioning for authors, do you find them wanting a good storyteller or just a voice talent? There is a difference. I think it depends on the type of book, right? What is the genre, or is there dialogue? Is there, it just really depends on the book. And in my own experience, from feedback I have had on my samples or the work that I have done in the past, the word storyteller comes up quite a bit. So I have to say good storyteller, because I think voice talent, the way that you're perceived or how clearly you speak or enunciate or whatever that is just as important as being a good storyteller. So I'd have to say both, but I think storyteller might be a little bit more important. Personal opinion. Sergeant Bill says, does the increasing number of narrations you complete on ACX up your visibility to authors? I don't think the algorithms work that way, but if someone is on Audible and hears one of your books, they can put your name in the search bar and find more things that you've done. And the same thing can be done from an author's perspective, too. They can find your name and then search you on Audible and see other work that you have done. So, I mean, the more places your name is out there, the more visible you are, the better your chances are of being found, I think. Right? But the algorithm on ACX itself doesn't really work that way. You just have to keep plugging in new samples, right? Keep refreshing your samples and adding them back in, taking them down, adding them back in. So you're at the top of the search list all the time, I think is more helpful in that respect. Sunny says, is it strange that oratory skills are not the norm like reading and math? Back in the day, enunciation lessons were normal, as well as giving speeches. Now it's only at posh schools, and you're absolutely right. You're right. I think I see more of the digital skills being taught these days more than debate or speech, skills. Right. They should be. They should be the norm. Masonry Construction says, great budget mic. Samson Q2U. XLR and USB, well under $100. Well, there you go. Masonry Construction has some advice for you. Janeri says, hi, Angela. Hi, Janeri. Do you think that if I put my whole heart into voice acting, I can earn $2,000 a month? I'm trying to replace my part-time job. I still don't want to give up my full-time. That really, I can't ever guarantee that you'll have the same success as somebody else, but why not? I think I was at that point. Sorry, my stomach's growling. But I think I was at that point within about a year and a half, maybe a little over a year. I was at that point. So again, what you put in is what you're going to get out. So the more that you invest in this, the more you're going to get out, and probably a little bit faster. So I can't invariably say, oh yeah, you can. I can't guarantee that, but I think the more you put in, the more you're going to get out, is what I can safely say. Just do it and stuff. Facebook user, a webinar. Let's see if I can see who this is. No, for some reason, the comment's not showing up on my Facebook app for some reason. I'm not sure who this is. A webinar could be interesting. Well, good. I'm glad that it's something that I'll continue to consider. Mary HPVO says, oh my God, Dutch Bros. I'm a Dutch Bros fan. And I collect the stickers. I've got tons of them. Facebook user said, I never hear, can I see? I can't see this comment. I don't know why they're not showing up. I never hear your AC or the guy mowing the lawn next door. Well, that's good. Because I think I try to record at times where I know there's not going to be, the landscapers or tree trimmers or any of that stuff going on. But the AC is usually on and off because I live in an oven. So I'm glad you guys can't hear it. It was actually just on and then it turned off. So if you guys didn't hear it, then I guess we're good. Writer Dude says, a webinar that is basic and all-encompassing would be good. Kind of a basic starter webinar. And then some others addressing more specific subjects. Just my thoughts. No, I appreciate that. I want your thoughts. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Let's see if it's, if you guys are even interested in something like that. Joya says, I always hear the AC in your background, but I think it has to do with the quality of my monitors. Cheap headsets won't pick it up like the quality monitors do. Don't tell me that. I was just starting to think that you guys couldn't hear it. Dang it. But that's okay. I love listening to you no matter your background noise. You are my inspiration and muse. Oh, Joya. Stop. You're making my introvert scream, but I appreciate that. Coley Cole says, I am down for a webinar, maybe one on editing. Oh, yeah. It would have to be for Adobe Audition, though, because that's what I use. Facebook user, okay, let's try. Oh, look, it actually shows up now. Okay, Kat Anthony. I have a mixed accent, British American. Do you think that might be less desirable? No. If you could do specifically either or, if that's what you mean, or if it's kind of like a mixture of the two that could still be interesting. I think it's still an interesting accent, but if you could shift from one or the other, then my gosh, you have more doors open to you than a lot of us do. So definitely use that. I wouldn't say it's less desirable at all. I think that's more desirable. Oh, we just got another super chat. Paximus. I am Paximus. It's like I'm saying that like a Decepticon or an Autobot or Optimus Prime is what I'm thinking of, right? Have a cup of Java on me. Thanks for all you do and share with us here. Very grateful for you. Thank you so much. Feeding my Dutch brothers habit. Thank you, doll. I appreciate you. Go follow him on TikTok. Paximus. I am Paximus. It's I am Paximus, right? I think so. Coley Cole Live says, I don't hear the AC either. Interesting. Tim Gleason says, ATH M50X for headset. Great. I love the recommendations. Terry Stafford says, sorry, shouldn't have included the URL. Is it okay to simply add a VO page to an existing website? Oh, if you put URLs in the chat, then YouTube's going to filter those out. So sorry about that. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to see that comment if there's a URL in it. Is it okay to simply add a VO page to an existing website? I think so. You might want to check with whatever your website host is to make sure that you can. Janeri says, me too. I'm on board for a webinar. Good. Good. I am Paximus says, embrace the tangent always and stuff. How did we even start that and stuff? It's been a while. Sunny says, great points about headphones. You should actually listen back on various types, including earbuds, because AirPods are ubiquitous now. I can hear different details depending on how much on which monitors I use. And that is exactly the reason for both, right? To have external speaker monitors and then also studio headphones. So you can hear the difference between the two and make any tweaks if you need to. Sergeant Bill says, thank you. Yes, sir. I am Paxima says, or do the car test. That might be the most helpful option. Yes, play back whatever you're testing on your car speakers. It's another great thing to do. Mike Lindsay says, thanks for your reply. I've been a broadcaster voice talent for many years, and my wife just jumped into audiobook narration a while back. Thanks again. She'll love it. If she's a book nerd like me, she'll love it. Absolutely. Kim Swingler says, all encompassing. LOL. Yes, I need coffee. It sounds like we all need a coffee break. Brittany Beck says, choir and theater definitely helped my enunciation in school. I need to get back into the practice, though. Yes, I think those two, what Sonny was saying earlier, too, that my kiddo just started high school, so we're going to see what kind of classes he's got. But I'm hoping that these things don't go away. These arts in school don't go away. I think they're still very necessary for confidence and creativity and enunciation, right? Mike Lindsay says, thank you for replying. Enjoy more coffee. Cheers. I plan to. I'm going to have me some coffee. Facebook user says, Colette says, didn't hear your stomach growl either, just an FYI. Well, good. Because you don't want to hear that. Caesar says, hey, I have a mixed accent too. Yes, he does. And it's very intriguing. Very intriguing. So definitely unique. Very unique facet. I am Paxima says more than meets the eye. Enjoy the Dutch Bros. Thank you. Colette says editing webinar. Great idea. Okay. So we're getting a couple of votes for an editing webinar. All right. Nightly Virtue says, I have seen several books specifically looking for that accent lately. What's wrong with my mouth today? As long as you're having fun and working with the authors, it seems like bringing out your artistry, personality, etc. You're good. I agree. Just be you. You don't have to put on this narrator facade because I'm a narrator now. I am a narrator. Just be you as a narrator, right? Yes. Come on, StreamYard. All right. Glowin says, now I'm going to be even more critical of my recordings as I listen to them in playback. That wasn't my intention. I'm not trying to plant more seeds in your head and more things for you to be conscious about, but don't worry about it. I think in our group, we're going to be reviewing Group C's mock auditions on Thursday, but we'll have, I need to update the calendar. I think we'll have another like demo feedback kind of a thing going on here shortly. So we can listen to yours and see if there is, in fact, something you need to do or maybe not do, right? Okay, I need to get through these last comments here. I got to get going. C. Lawson says, good afternoon to my former auto industry sister. I am a newbie to this space, and I'm excited to see what's come. Well, that's great. Welcome. And I have to know, what did you do in the auto industry? Like me, a little bit of everything? What'd you do? Coley Cole says, I can hear your mouse clicks. What can we do while we record to minimize click sounds? I don't really click as I'm narrating. I have a trackball mouse, so I try to do whatever I need to do with my thumb and maybe the scroll, but I don't really click. If there is a click, if I need to click my mouse when I'm narrating something, I'll give a pause, then click, then continue on, and then cut out the click and post. Or get one of those really quiet mice that don't have a really audible click sound, but that in and of itself might be a little bit hard to do, but I just cut them out in post if they're there. Kim Swinkler says, thank you. LOL, will do. Fabu. Tim Gleason says, my wife doesn't let me have coffee. Says it has something to do with blood sugar. I miss it. Okay, well, tea, if I can't have coffee, a nice green tea is what I like. Yeah, that does it. Janeri says, thank you, Angela. You and Anthony have been my inspiration to keep going. Both of you were full-time when you started this. You mean employed? Yeah, he was a theater teacher and I was in the automotive industry. We were both working full-time employed for somebody else while we were starting this. So we have that parallel. I'm glad we were helpful. C. Lawson says accounting and sales. That's awesome. I was sales, then finance for a few years, mostly subprime in the subprime sector. And then I went to service. And then I was in service for a while. I went to fixed for a while. Or variable. I'm forgetting my terms. That's okay. Tim Gleason says Logi M550OI01 mouse is quite quiet. All right, let's try that again. All right, where's my clicker? Take two. Logi M550OI mouse is quite quiet. I don't know. I have this mouse that I'm talking about on my website under VO Gear. I'm not sure what the model of this one is, but I like it. It's wireless and the trackball is very useful. I use my thumb to scroll around with, which is cool. I am Paxima says face red droopy eyes must be a emoji that I can't see. Java? I'm so sorry. No Java. I know. I'm sure the time will come when I can't have it either, but that's okay. C. Lawson says, oh, an MV clerk. Oh, 18 years? My sister. I was altogether about 20 years in the business. So, yeah. My sister. Tim Gleason says, and yes, I do tea. Earl Grey, hot, decaf. I like Earl Grey, but I can't do decaf. I did all decaf stuff when I was, pregnant with the kiddo, but I hated it. I was hating life. So I don't know if I could do decaf. All right, one last comment. I'll save the best for last. Random memes. Hello. Hello, random memes. I'm glad you're here, random memes. All right. I have to get going, but I will see you guys next week. So let me take this comment off the screen and then go to this one and say, have a very eventful, productive, practice and audition filled week. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.